Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Welcome to Talking Politics. I am your host, Robert Press. I write for the Bronx Chronicle, as you can see by my official New York City press card. I also contribute to the Co-op City News and Parkchester Times. The latter, like this show, is part of Muslim media. I also have a blog at www.100%.blogspot.com, where you will see more about what I speak here, and Facebook pages 100% and what is going on in your community board. The views expressed on this show are that of the host, any guest, or any commentator whose comments you may see scroll across the bottom of the screen and are not necessarily those of Muslim media. Now, on to the weather for today, Friday. It will be 73 degrees under cloudy skies. Tomorrow, Saturday, it'll get up to 69 with a chance of light rain in the PM hours. Sunday, for the Bronx Week Parade, Food Festival, and concert on Marshall Parkway, it will be clear with a high of 73. So expect to see me, as well as Borough President Vanessa Gibson and a lot of other people back on Marshall Parkway for Sunday's Bronx Week Parade. And Monday, it'll get into the about middle 70s with 70s all week long next week. Okay, first off, we are going to have presidential debates. It appears, it's not a period, President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump have agreed to a June 27th debate on CNN and a September 10th debate broadcast by ABC News. Now, this is bypassing the decades-old tradition of 3 fall debates organized by the Bipartisan Commission on Presidential Debates. With staggering poll numbers, could Joe Biden hurt Democrats in critical New York House races? New York is poised to play a decisive role in the battle for control of Congress this fall, with roughly a half dozen seats considered up for grabs in November. Most of them are currently held by Republicans, such as Long Island and upstate. But polling shows President Joe Biden's popularity in New York has sagged since 2020, raising questions about whether he might be a drag on Democratic chances of winning those House seats, taking back the majority of the United States House of Representatives, placing Brooklyn Congressman Hakeem Jeffries as the House Majority Leader. Currently, it's a Republican who's in charge of the House. I forgot his name already, but it goes like this. The Republicans say, Mike Laura from upstate says the president's underwater in my district. Recently, he told Spectrum News that he is one of 4 Republicans looking to win re-election in New York congressional districts that Biden carried 4 years ago. Others are Republicans Mark Marinaro, Anthony Esposito, and Brandon Williams. All have been openly critical of the president. This administration is not good for the upstate New York, and I have no problem saying that, Molinaro said. Some have gone a step further by endorsing further former President Donald Trump's effort to win the Oval Office again. That includes the Esposito, whose Nassau County district went for Biden by nearly 15 points 4 years ago. If you think back to a time when President Trump was president, we had a safer America, a more affordable America. We had an America that you could be proud of, he said, when announcing his endorsement in February. The polling for Biden in 2020, he won New York State by more than 23 points. But a recent poll conducted in April by Sierra College showed Biden beating Trump by just 10 points among registered voters. That same poll showed a 45% rating for Biden favorably compared to 52% unfavorably. The poll, which has an overall margin of error of about 4%, also showed that in mid-April, 27% of registered voters across New York believe the United States is on the right track. Nearly 2/3 of the country said that the country is headed in the wrong direction. Republicans see opportunities in these lagging poll numbers. For instance, Congressman Laura said, for instance, that Biden is not the same president that won my district by 10 points in 2020. Asked if the president could complicate things for his Democratic rival, former Congressman Mondaire Jones. Look, people are just unhappy with the direction of the country, Lola said. Meanwhile, Democrats like Laura Gillen who is pushing a rematch against the Esposito in Long Island after losing by just under 10,000 votes in 2022, argued that the expected boost in voter turnout tied to the presidential race should actually increase her odds. She then pivoted to her own contest, saying that she is focused on holding the Esposito accountable for his record and for positions that he's taken and the lack of results that he's delivered. Some of the Democrats in these races have at times sought to distance themselves from the White House, particularly on immigration, an issue that Biden has really not helped. For instance, Hudson Valley Representative Pat Ryan, for instance, recently joined colleagues in writing a letter to the president urging him to take executive action on the border. Josh Riley, a Democrat running in a district just north of Ryan's, offered to take on the president, saying he's done a terrible job at the border. And so we have all our politicians, frankly, worried, Riley said. Regarding the polls, though, at least one Republican was quick to downplay any boost that he may get from Biden's lagging. I still have to earn every vote, Molinaro said. Congressman Molinaro is. And speaking of races that are tough, the Democratic primary for the 16th congressional seat, between Democratic Congressman Jamal Bowman and Westchester County Executive George Latimer had a debate this past Tuesday night where they traded barbs during the first head-to-head debate between the two candidates vying to represent the 16th congressional district here in New York. The district goes from Co-op City up into Lower Westchester. That race has garnered national attention, with many treating it as a litmus test for the relative strength of the pro-Palestinian left-wing Democratic Party that Bowman belongs to, which is the Justice Democrats. Discussion of the Israeli-Hamas war dominated this debate, but the debate was not limited to foreign policy. Candidates also had answered questions close to the home, like flooding and public safety. Latimer's opening statement referenced Bowman's primary win against former Representative Elliot Engel 4 years ago. A major theme of Bowman's campaign was that Engel didn't spend enough time in the district, and his open mic gaffe, "I wouldn't be here on Fordham Road if I didn't have a primary." Well, we're here 4 years later, Latimer said, for an accountability check as to who can best represent the people of this district. Now, as far as Congressman Bowman, he touted his success bringing funding to the district, working with the Democrats to pass major legislation. He then criticized Latimer's alliance with the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee for its funding pro-Israeli candidates. We got to deal with the issue of racial justice, inequality, voting rights, and climate justice, he said. As far as the conflict in the Middle East, both candidates said they supported a two-state solution to the conflict, but Bowman spoke about the need for a change in Israeli leadership. Latimer, a decades-long Westchester political force and strong supporter of the Israeli state, argued that any talks of a ceasefire must begin with freeing of hostages taken by the militant group Hamas. He said that the phrase, "from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free," is a slogan frequently headed at pro-Palestinian protests and is a hate speech program. Latimer brought up his reestablishment of the country's Human Rights Commission, his county's Human Rights Commission, his efforts to address inequality regardless of background in Westchester, where he's the county executive. "I made a point to deal with all of our communities that are subjected to hate." When asked about the pro-Palestinian protests that have sprung up on college campuses, including SUNY Purchase in the 16th Council District, Latimer said that campus leadership had a duty to prepare for demonstrations. Bowman defended the protest as the latest in a long line of activism that drew murmurs from the audience. When the two candidates compared their records in office, Latimer took the opportunity to push Bowman's buttons over the infamous fire alarm episode. This is what you have when you have a person who wants to be in office in order to become important and special, as opposed to a person who comes into office to do the job of a congressman, Latimer said. On the issue of public safety, Bowman said that the key is making district residents feel safer was investment in public resources like healthcare, education, and workforce development instead of increasing public police funding. "My opponent doesn't know the facts," Latimer responded, arguing that the increased police presence was a key for a multi-phase approach to public safety. In their closing arguments, each candidate gave their best case as to why they should represent the district. Latimer brought up his blue-collar upbringing and his appreciation of other cultures while reminding voters of his record as a legislator dating back to local offices. June 25th is the primary. The 16th congressional district includes Co-op City in the Bronx and part of Wakefield, a small part of Wakefield, and the rest is up in Westchester County. So with just a few weeks left before voters head to the polls, Bowman and Latimer reminded viewers that this isn't just any old primary, but has high stakes implications that go well beyond the future of Westchester. Both are Democrats. It is the Democratic primary. Now, on to one of my favorite subjects, Donald Trump's case. His lawyers cross-examined Michael Cohen, aiming to undermine the testimony that Trump was initially intimately involved in buying a porn star's silence over an alleged sexual account that has ended. Cohen, who served as Trump's personal lawyer for over a decade, testified this week. Trump ordered him to pay Stormy Daniels $130,000 in 2016 to protect Trump's presidential campaign. Cohen said he and Trump discussed the plan to reimburse Cohen for payments through a series of bogus invoices for legal fees. Their chats included one in the White House Oval Office when Trump was president in 2017, Cohen said. In about 2 hours of cross-examination on Tuesday, defense lawyer Todd Black sought to portray the prosecutor's star witness as a serial liar, falsely implicating his former boss to exact revenge and make money off his books and podcasts featuring anti-Trump invectives. Blanche used Cohen's own words to paint him as an unreliably biased against Trump, noting that Cohen had called Trump a dictator douchebag. I hope I could say that on the air. Boorish cartoon misogynist and Cheeto-dusted cartoon villain on podcasts and in social media. Trump has argued that his monthly payments to Cohen throughout 2017 were for his work as his personal lawyer to the president, meaning there was nothing improper about the word retainer being written on the checks, Trump said. Prosecutors said that the reimbursement payments were falsely labeled as legal expenses in Trump's organizational records to conceal the Daniels payoff, which they say violated U.S. election campaign finance law. Cohen is the 20th and final witness to have been called by prosecutors with Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office at the trial, which began on April 15th in New York State Criminal Court. Blanche has told Justice Juan Merchan on Tuesday he expects his cross-examination of Cohen to last through most of Thursday, which is yesterday, meaning the defense would have an opportunity to call its own witnesses when the trial resumes next week. He said that the jury's presence and Trump has yet to decide whether he is going to testify or not. Cohen carries significant baggage as a witness, he said. He pleaded guilty to federal crimes in 2018 for offenses related to Daniels' payment and lying to Congress during an investigation into Trump's Russia ties or alleged Russian ties. He told jurors on Tuesday he lied repeatedly to journalists and others about the Daniels case. Prosecutor Matthew Colindro told jurors in his April 22nd opening statement that Cohen's testimony would be corroborated by other evidence. So far, he has included tabloid publisher David Pecker's testimony that he agreed on August 2015 to meet with Trump and Cohen to be the campaign's eyes and ears for women seeking to sell unflattering stories. Jurors have also seen a former Trump organization executive's handwriting notes outlining Cohen's reimbursements and heard a recording of Cohen made of Trump seemingly to discuss a hush money payment Pecker's company made to another woman. Trump has pleaded not guilty and denies having the sexual encounter. He faces 34 counts of falsifying business records. Meanwhile, now we had Mayor Adams go over to Italy to see the Pope, and now New York State Governor Kathy Hochul has traveled to Italy to make an address at Pope Francis' summit from climate crisis to climate resilience, and then deliver keynote remarks at the global summit in Ireland. Hochul has been in Italy on Wednesday at the Vatican and Thursday to participate in the Pontiff's Academy of Science and Social Sciences 3-day summit. She is now in Ireland, where she will meet with senior government officials and key business leaders in Dublin. There, she will give a keynote address on the future of cities at the inaugural Global Economic Summit in Killarney, which aims to address the challenges of climate change and economic inequality. Hochul's trip is being paid for by taxpayers, according to Avi Small, a spokesman for the governor. Hochul is traveling on official business, representing the state of New York in her official capacity as governor, and therefore state funds will be used for official business. I am going to, and he said the governor will return to New York on Monday. Now, I am going to go to a break here. It's my halfway mark. When I come back, I'll have a little bit about Operation Padlock, the city's new crime strategy, and Mayor Rat. Exactly more about Mayor Rat and what Mayor Adams is trying to do about the rat problem. So let me go to.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely convince you.
Okay, welcome back. So let's go into Operation Padlock, where New York City Mayor Eric Adams announced Tuesday the results of week one of Operation Padlock to protect a sustained multi-agency effort in action to shut down illegal smoke shops and cannabis shops across the 5 boroughs. In the first week of enforcement, the Sheriff's Joint Complaints Task Force conducted 150 inspections of unlicensed locations in the vicinities of schools, houses of worship, allegedly selling cannabis, THC edibles, THC vape, untaxed cigarettes, flavored tobacco, flavored vapes, other tobacco products in the confines of the New York City's 5 borough commands. Inspections resulted in 77 cease and desist orders and 75 shops sealed, 370 notices of violations, holding 3,878 counts of violations across New York, across the New York City Police Department, Department of Worker Consumer Protection, and the Sheriff's Office. More than $5,960,000 in civil penalties were issued. Parents, business, elected officials, community groups, criminal justice advocates, and more have been alarmed by the scourge of illegal operators in every neighborhood across New York City and applaud Mayor Adams for his decisive action. This will continue as the time goes on. More shops will be padlocked and closed. As for the new retail crime strategy, Mayor Adams said we're announcing a program that uses technology to bust retail and bodega thefts. Fusus Technology uses camera integration, a platform that allows businesses to voluntarily integrate their security cameras with local NYPD precincts. This is a home run to existing closed-circuit cameras. This technology will allow information to be shared between businesses and the NYPD faster than ever. It will allow us to gather real-time intelligence on retail crimes and apprehend criminals responsible. Most importantly, it will increase efficiencies and improve community relations between local police precincts and New Yorkers they serve by allowing local businesses to take a more proactive role in their communities and improve the quality of life across the city. Through the New York City Police Department Consumer Affairs Bureau, Crime Protection Bureau, that division, we have been working with retail establishments to analyze and improve their security, and the Department of Small Business Services under Commissioner Kim, who is now leaving, unfortunately, has upgraded their lighting in commercial corridors so the cameras will be visible and police will be able to know exactly what is going on. This is a real victory for us in Albany. Mayor Adams said this provision gives courts the ability to set bail if an individual is allegedly to have persistently committed similar crimes. We're working with nonviolent offenders, though, to utilize alternatives to incarceration. We want to fix the problem, and we know we can't just arrest our way out of it, Mayor Adams said. Now, as for Mayor Rat, New York City Mayor Eric Adams announced that in partnership with the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, New York State Integrated Pest Management Program at Cornell University, that New York City will host its inaugural National Urban Rat Summit this fall on September 18th and 19th. The summit will include municipal experts from Boston, New Orleans, and Seattle, as well as preeminent rat researchers from across the nation. New Yorkers may not know about me, he said, but I hate rats, and I'm confident that most of our city residents do as well, said Mayor Adams. With rat sightings down nearly 14% in the city's rat mitigation zones year over year, we continue to make progress, but we're not stopping there. In 2023, Mayor Adams appointed Catherine Corradi as City Director of Rodent Mitigation and announced the New Harlem Rat Mitigation Zone, the city's fourth dedicated zone. Despite being our closest urban counterparts, there is surprisingly limited interest in limited research on urban rats and their management, she said. Under Mayor Adams' leadership, New York City is taking the fight to the rats, enacting proven strategies that have been delayed for too long, and getting results, with rat sightings down 12 of the 13 months since we began the task of getting all 44 million pounds of daily garbage that rats attack off the streets. Rats have a common yet despised aspect of urban life. They cause loss of business, structural damage, and pose health risks, said Matt Frey, Senior Extension Associate of the New York State Integrated Pest Management Control Program at Cornell University. Municipalities are charged with managing rats on a large scale, but there are only a handful of technical resources, he said, that are intended for this important audience, and subject area experts are similarly rare. This summit and its academic partners, it comes to New York City as a leap forward for urban rat management, forging new relationships. As New York City continues to make progress in implementing a holistic integrated pest management strategy focused on identifying rat hotspots and removing conditions that allow rats to thrive. Included in the strategy is the city's efforts to containerize all 14 billion pounds of trash that the city currently produces every year. For decades, that trash sat on sidewalks in black plastic bags for as long as a full day at a time or more, attracting rats and stinking up New York City neighborhoods. The Adams administration has already implemented the Department of Sanitation rules regulating all about 7 billion annual pounds of business trash to go into containers later this fall, when container requirements go into effect for low-density residence buildings. That's 1 to 9 units. Approximately 70% of all trash in the city will be containerized. Additionally, the administration developed an all-new automated side-loading garbage truck that will allow the city containerized trash from high-density buildings, those large apartment buildings, using stationary on-street containers. And this will be tested in Manhattan Community Board 9, which will be the first district with 100% of its trash containerized and serviced next year. What this means, though, is that you're going to see large garbage tanks on the street, which will be taking up valuable parking spaces right near apartment buildings. And the goal of this mayor and the city of Yes, which I'll get into later if I have time, which I may not, is to get the cars off the street. The city of Yes is an approach to have more buildings going up, such as the Metro North plan in the East Bronx, where 7,500 units of housing is proposed with a mandate of no parking. They figure that it'll be right near the Metro North station, so people will take the Metro North, not knowing that the Metro North is more than three times as much as the subway, and people won't be able to afford Metro North on a daily basis. Now, getting back to the rat problem, New York City Parks is implementing a robust approach to rat control in New York City parks with the goal of addressing underlying conditions that support rat colonies. New York City Parks will continue to limit access to potential food sources by rodents and target places where they burrow. The 4 rat mitigation zone encompass nearly 200 public schools. The Department of Education efforts have included 2 distinct but collaborative pieces: extermination and waste operations. The New York City Housing Authority has made tremendous progress in our rat mitigation efforts, said New York City Housing Authority Chief Executive Officer Lisa Boiva Hyatt. We are extremely dedicated to the removal of rodents from the New York City Housing Authority projects. NYCHA has designated 45 exterminators to treat NYCHA public spaces and rolled out training on more efficient methods of treating grounds. Additionally, NYCHA launched an exclusion team that seals window vents in basements and to a rat burrow collapse team that collapses rat burrows, aiding in the prevention of mating and overall tracking of rat colonies. Now, there was a question asked of Mayor Adams at a recent press conference about mental illness at Rikers Island, and his question went, I'd like to ask you about, so there were 2 random attacks in Times Square where somebody was homeless. It seemed there might be a history of mental illness. Steve Buscemi got punched in the face. It seemed like another random act. I'm wondering, what is the update on the status of the outreach teams that you launched on mental health? I think it was about 2 years ago now. How many social workers or clinicians are working with the police department or other agencies? How many teams are out there? What's the success rate of getting people to either treatment? Obviously, this guy in Times Square was in a shelter, but I think it's more about treatment at this point. Mayor Adams answered, remember when we first started this administration, we went after those with severe mental health illness. He said to Marsha Kramer, who gave the question, we got so much criticism. We were talking about people with severe mental illness who could not remain on the streets. We used this God-forbidden term, involuntary removal. You would have thought that we were the worst thing ever. We knew that people were in danger to themselves and were part of a revolving door system until they committed a severe, serious crime. Then we took them to Rikers. 70% of those on Rikers have mental health issues. 18 or 19% have severe problems, from closing psychiatric wards because advocates called it for turning into Rikers Island into a psychiatric ward. Then we said, we'll close down Rikers. The same people who advocated for the closing of Rikers now are saying, what are you going to do with these people who are there dealing with psychiatric issues? This is an adult governance where you got to make hard choices. You have to be honest with people now. Lisa Zornberg, chief counsel to mayor of City Hall, jumped in to say, with the most up-to-date stats, there are approximately 54% of the individuals at Rikers Island that have been diagnosed with some sort of mental illness. And around 20% of them have been diagnosed with a serious mental illness. There is a plan to house these once they close Rikers, they're going to put these people into the city jails, which will be well under capacity. There will be only about 4,100 seats for people in these city jails, which won't be completed until 2029, it is now said. There are currently 6,200 people in Rikers Island, and if we're taking more people off the street, that number is going to grow. The city is putting people into Bellevue Hospital, North Central Bronx Hospital, and there's a hospital in Brooklyn that they're going to use to house about 120 people of these mentally ill people in those 3 hospitals. And there's a plan, while over at those 3 hospitals, they'll be under Department of Correction coverage. They'll have Department of Correction officers at those 3 hospitals watching these people. However, at Jacoby Hospital, there is a plan to put 50 people of possibly some of these with 20% of mental illness, severe mental illness, or 54%, which is half of the people at Rikers Island, from the infirmary. In Jacoby Hospital, they want to put about 50 people in building number 2 with just a security guard and an organization, the Fortune Society, which has had some success in treatment of people coming out of Rikers Island after they serve their time. However, these people are detainees that they want to plan to put at Jacoby Hospital. They have either not gone to trial, which is 84% of the population at Rikers Island, or the other 16% that have been guilty and are waiting to go upstate. So, I mean, Mayor Adams, you want to put severely mentally ill people or people with mental illness at Jacoby Hospital, free to roam the neighborhood and go anywhere they want and commit crimes which they have not been even tried or gone to court for. I mean, Mayor Adams, this is crazy. I'm going to get off the subject and go to something else completely different. And as I'm about to close, we have some football games to tell you that the NFL. Here are some great games of interest. Week 1, Boston Ravens will be at Kansas City Thursday, September 5th. Also, week 1, the Philadelphia Eagles will be playing the Green Bay Packers on Friday, September 6th in the country of Brazil. On the weekend, Dallas Cowboys go to the Cleveland Browns on Sunday, September 8th. The Jets go to San Francisco to face the 49ers Monday night, September 9th. Week 2, the Buffalo Bills are at Miami to face the Dolphins on Thursday, September 12th. The Cincinnati Bengals go to the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday the 15th. Week 5, the Minnesota Vikings and New York Jets play Sunday, October 6th in London. Also on week 6, the Chicago Bears and Jacksonville Jaguars go to London on Sunday, October 16th. Week 7, Jackson Jaguars and New England Patriots go to London on Sunday, October 20th. Week 10, the Carolina Panthers play the New York Giants in Munich on November 10th. For the first 2 games, also the Giants are going to introduce a 100th anniversary uniform, much with the original colors of their first uniforms that they played. Yeah, right, Biden 2024, if he can live that long. Now, and pardon me for that comment, it is my opinion and not necessarily that of Muslim media. So let me wrap up. Next week, I'll have the Bronx races here. There are only a few assembly races. There are 2 congressional races. In the 14th Congressional District, Marty Dolan faces Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I had Marty Dolan on my show last week. I hope to have Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. I'm trying to get to her office. In the 16th Congressional District, we have a showdown between Jamal Bowman, Congressman Bowman, and Westchester County Executive George Latimer, which is the hottest race in the country. We have some assembly district races. The 77th, newly elected Assemblyman Landman Diaz faces Leonardo J. Colio. The 82nd Assembly District is a rematch of Assemblyman Michael Benedetto facing Jonathan Soto, who got 35% 2 years ago. He's expected to do much better. However, in Co-op City, you now have Congressman Jamal Bowman covering Co-op City, who will be trying to help Jonathan Soto. In the 84th Assembly District, we have Assemblywoman Amanda Septimo facing a challenge from Hector Feliciano. There are no other primaries in the rest of the Assembly Districts, only those 3 Assembly Districts. There's no primary in the 15th Congressional District, and there are just state committee, district leaders, delegates to the Judicial Convention, alternate delegates to the Judicial Convention in the 81st Assembly District. There's the state committee races in the 77th and the 81st and 84th Assembly District, district leaders in the 77th and 81st and 84th Assembly Districts. And that is all for this primary. There are no Republican primaries or conservative primaries. And let me say goodbye. Thank you for watching. We'll delve in a little more about that, about what I missed this week. There's much more on the Metro North rezoning, which the City Planning Commission had a hearing at which I testified. I made Gothamist, myself, and Bernadette Ferrara, former Community Board 11 chair. We were called NIMBYs. We're not NIMBYs. I'm semi-expert on this, having been on Community Board 8 for 6 years on the Land Use Committee, as well as other, and it's a long resume I have as far as working in the community. So let me say goodbye for now. And I see my producer is telling me it's time for me to go. So thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next week.
In a world where the quality of information available to poorer communities is doctored, tainted, and sometimes regressive, where the words fake news have come to mean other people's opinions, it is vital to rely on news platforms with journalists who have feet on the ground and can report the truth. New York Parrot, a New York-based national and global news outlet, is changing the narratives of media operations. We focus on the news that matters, like self-empowerment, entrepreneurship, finances, health, security, politics, and more. We strive to curb violence, racial and economic discrimination, and to promote peace and socio-economic development of multiculturally diverse world. As we give voice to the people, we also give your business a voice and make it heard. Get your product and services off the ground by advertising on our fast-growing platform. With so much of daily visits to New York Parrot, you can't afford to be invisible to prospective clients on the websites they trust the most. Our posts reach millions of people across the New York State and around the world. Advertising on our new site will unlock an audience of thousands of potential customers on your doorstep. New York Parrot is born to prosperously speak tomorrow for the voiceless.